You're cheering for them. I ended up dating an agent and marrying him. So because my husband's so steady and sovereign in himself, I could do whatever. And he'd be like, you go.
You had your first child at 45 years old.
I had my daughter at 46. My daughter's 18 months old.
Your daughter gets to 18
Yeah.
and she just can't get out of bed. She's lazy. She's blaming the world. She's saying, listen, this is this person's fault and this person's fault. And, I just can't be bothered. Where'd you start?
Well, look, if I've done a good job and my husband and I have done a good job, and again, it's not 100% us, we should have hopefully by that point put in certain structures in place to prevent that. I'll give you a small example. I've never put an iPhone in front of her. I have no working television in my house because I control what she absorbs, not the internet. And I'm going to hold on to that as long as possible because I've seen with the cell phones. I'm a grown-ass adult and I'll look at stuff and it impacts me and I'm like, I can't look at this. Or I'll unfollow things or I'll go off social. I don't want to see it. I cover news. I cover crime, I cover really heinous things. And there are times where I do the news, Stephen, I don't watch it. So there are little things that I can do. So up until this point, 18 months, it's a lot more work for me and my family. There's no social device. There's no cell phone. I control that. I kind of look at it. I want to know what's feeding her mind. The way I choose to make her food, I choose what goes in the mind. I control it. And a lot of parents will come to me and I'll tell them, if you're not comfortable dropping your kid in the middle of Times Square to talk to whoever, then you get that thing out of their hands because now somebody else is putting ideas in your kid's head. I have no control over that. Zero. And that's powerful. That's one. And especially we see it affect little girls. And again, I'm a grown woman and social media impacts me. And the moment I'm like, I put that thing away. That's one. No TV in my house because TV is like when I was a kid, you had cartoons Saturday morning, that was it. And you had to wait for those cartoons. I mean, I was like, tomorrow cartoons. So this instant gratification process that kids have, that's why you hear like, help me get to here fast. She's never going to learn how to work hard. She's going to be lazy. She's going to lay in bed. She's going to get depressed quicker. She's going to have anxiety. So I'm doing everything I can to impact those things. They're little seeds. It's little things so that by the time she's 18, I hope in my heart, I have done my best. But I also understand I'm 50%, she's 50%. So as much as I try to help navigate her, she's going to be her own person. And I'm going to have to listen, understand what her value systems are, what she cares about, but her exposure to them is I regulate that. Even the school she's going to go to. I sit there, I'm already thinking about where I'm going to put her to school. And I'm like, do I want her in a public school? I don't know. I don't want her being like, Mom, I want a Gucci belt and, labels and all this stuff. I was like, I don't want her to think like that. I want her to have a different mindset. I'm like, so I'm creating in my head, how do I do that? Another thing I do, super small, I take her to Greece with me every summer. Do you know where we go in Greece? In the village. I'm talking like bathroom in the back, hardcore, like rug in it. My parents grew up in villages. I grew up in that. I lived in that in the summer. June, July, August, September, I was in the village. In fact, the bathroom was connected to the chicken coop.
Would you let her fly business class?
No. The only time I fly business class is when somebody else is paying.
Why?
Because I'm saving my money. Because business class is expensive. Because I work really hard and I'm okay to sit in the back. So business class, there has to be a really good reason why I'm going to dish out that money for business class for myself, let alone my daughter. Economy. My poor kid, right? She's going to grow up and I'm like, you can keep all your stuff to yourself.
You, one of the things we were chatting about before we started recording was that your favorite days are when you work out, you go to the gym. Why is that so important to you? Why is exercise so central to everything that you do in your mind?
I think that there's a school of like the mind and the body are two separate things. And a lot of people will be like, I'm working on my mind. I listen to podcasts, which is great, but then they don't work out their body. And these things live together. I learned this in the Secret Service. Like these things they're married. So if you're depressed and you're not getting off the sofa, there's a problem. Your body needs help. I work with I train now with Don Saladino. Even me, with all my experience, like sometimes we need somebody to push us. And accountability is a big thing. So I always tell people if you're struggling, have somebody be accountable for you. Don, who I work with and I train with, he makes me take a photo of every meal I eat and text it to him. He's like, I want to see what you're putting in your mouth. And every time I'm about to have something that I shouldn't, I think to myself, I got to send this to Don. So he's going to police it. So having somebody help you is also a good thing. But your body is your temple. You get one of these. We take better care of our cars than we do this. And then we wonder, why am I depressed? Because you have to move this. You have to take care of it. Everything in the US Secret Service was about performance. This is your home. It houses your mind. It houses your soul. And we treat it like garbage. And we give it garbage. When I run and I work out at night, all the stress, I'm like any other human being. I accumulate stress, people's angst, stuff coming at me, and I need a way to release it. So at night, I go run and I let it out. There's been times in my life, I could think of two distinct times. I remember once, and I don't remember what it was, but I had such a stressful, hard day. Stephen, I went to the track to run. And I remember it was freezing, it was winter, it was snowing, and I was just like on the verge of just pure emotion and rage. I started running. I was like talking to myself. I was running. I'm bawling. My eyes are bawling. I look like a crazy person to the outside world, but I ran it all out. And when I was done, I was back to me. The physical element of our body is such an important thing, and we treat them as two separate entities. And you have to take care of what houses your soul and your mind.
You strike me as someone that is pretty fearless. I say pretty because I think we all have fear in us. I think fear is a useful, natural emotion, but you're someone that clearly has built up a more productive relationship with fear than most people. When you think back of your sort of Secret Service experience, was there a day where you were more scared than another day? I.e., what was the most scared you were during your time in the Secret Service?
Do you know I had this one scenario, and I don't think I ever talked about it. I'm in downtown Manhattan. I'm with my colleague, and we're driving to a Secret Service meeting. We were going to go arrest somebody the next day, and we were going to the briefing with this other department. We were going to do our pre-arrest briefing about how we're going to go in tactically. So we're driving to this meeting, and as we're going to this meeting, we're in downtown Manhattan. Somebody runs out of it was a jewelry store. This man runs out of a jewelry store, and these other people are out there running with him, and they're yelling,